Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Kelly. I am the chairman of the Northern New York Power Proceeds Allocation Board. I'm going to go around and other board members. Terry Phelan. To my right is Roger Charlo and Robert McNeil. I'd like to welcome the New York Power Authority staff. Do you want to point out who you are and who's here so everybody watching from the public knows who's up here with us?
Sure. My name is Richard Smith. I'm the Director of Business Development in Western New York for Nnyppab.
And I'm Tricia Wilson, the Economic Development Manager here in the North Country. Nice to have you all here. Toss it back to you, Patrick.
All right. This is a scheduled board meeting. It's been duly noticed as required by the Open Meetings Law. At this point, I'd like to turn the floor over to Nnyppab President and CEO Gil Quinones.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Welcome to the board members of the Northern New York Power Proceeds. We are thrilled to launch this meeting today. I know it's been a lot of hard work by all of you and your colleagues in the North Country. Please know that Nnyppab is going to be here and with you every step of the way, supporting your work as you consider projects that are beneficial and can spur economic development in the North Country. We feel that we are a member of your community. Our first power plant that we built and own is the St. Lawrence FDR Power Project. The first transmission line we acquired used to be called Taylorville Line. We call it Moses Adirondack, which we're currently going to be rebuilding 85 miles all the way from Messina to the Adirondack. So we feel very much part of your community. As you know, Alcoa is one of our largest customers, if not our largest electric supply customer, and a pillar in your community there. And so we are excited, we are thrilled on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Power Authority, on behalf of the executive management, and specifically our economic development team, led here by Keith Hayes. You know, we look forward to working with you. And before I just end my remarks, I want to mention that with me here in White Plains is our Executive Vice President and General Counsel, Justin Driscoll. I had already mentioned Keith Hayes, our Head of Economic Development, Joe Grislow, our VP of Ethics and Compliance, and Karen DeLintz, our Corporate Secretary, is also here, part of the team that will be supporting Tricia and Richard Smith, who are on the ground there. I see Joe Leary is also there, our Vice President of Government Relations. So in Albany, Vince Esposito, who was the architect of this legislation that enabled this great initiative in the North Country. And so with that, let me end there. We're excited. We are committed. We're a member of your community, and we will work our tail off. That's our commitment to you, to support your initiatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gil.
Thank you very much, Gil. And I think on behalf of the board, it's fair to say that we have a recognition that this is a really unique opportunity for us in the area to take advantage of what's a very special asset and help to create very unique and tailored and appropriate programs and incentives for economic development that might otherwise not happen. So I think there's certainly an understanding that this is a tremendous opportunity for the region, and one I think everybody is pretty excited to help capitalize on. I just want to point out we have a fair turnout of the public here with us today. We have local community mayors and representation, town supervisors, Assemblywoman Jenny's office is represented here. Senator Griffo, Senator Ritchie's people are here. We have representatives from Governor Cuomo and Empire State Development, the Messina BDC. So clearly there is an excitement and there is an interest in us working together, working with the Power Authority to make sure that we really start to make a difference with these assets that are now at our disposal. And it's been a while coming, but I think we're really positioned well to start doing some good. So we're excited. I think on behalf of the board, thanks to the governor for the appointments, for our state elected officials for the recommendations. We're ready, and I think at this point we'll move forward. We have a proposed agenda in front of us, and I would just ask if anybody has any amendments they'd like to make to the agenda as it's presented. If not, can I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
Also move.
Moved by Robert McNeil.
I'll second.
Seconded by Terry Phelan. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. At this point, for an overview of the act that brought us together, we'll turn it over to the architect, Vincent Esposito.
Well, thank you very much. It is an exciting time because this represents the. Hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you very much. It is an exciting time because this does represent the culmination of both a lot of hard work and aspirations by folks in the local.
Now we don't hear you.
Excited to be a part of it. Is actually quite simple and provides for a fund of money that consists of
Hold on, Vince. You're coming in choppy. We're just checking some technical. Should we try again?
They're working on it.
Okay. Vince, can you try again? Let's see. I think
Vince?
It's dead.
it's that. Okay.
All right, we could move to the next agenda item and then come back to
To
Vince.
Vince, okay.
when
Perfect.
So the next agenda item is Keith Hayes giving us an overview of the board procedures and policies for review of benefit applications. So go ahead, Keith.
Thank you, Patrick, and I apologize to the board. I actually intended to be up there today. We had a little snafu with the flight, so I'm glad I have the opportunity to video in and to greet you all today. So you in your briefing books you have Exhibit A, but I'll go over some of the highlights. The board's primary responsibilities regarding applications for fund benefits under the program are to administer the application process, to make determinations relating to eligibility, and where an applicant and project are eligible, evaluate those applications against the statutory criteria, and make a recommendation to the New York Power Authority trustees on whether an applicant should be awarded fund benefits. The following are the statutory criteria used to evaluate applications for fund benefits. Whether an eligible project would occur in the absence of an award or fund benefits, the extent to which an award of fund benefits will result in new capital investment in the state by the eligible applicant and the extent of such investment, other assistance the eligible applicant may receive to support the eligible project, the type and cost of buildings, equipment, and facilities to be constructed, enlarged, or installed if the eligible applicant were to receive an award of fund benefits, the eligible applicant's payroll, salaries, benefits, and number of jobs at the eligible project for which an award of fund benefits is requested. The number of jobs that will be created or retained within St. Lawrence County and any other parts of the state in relation to the requested award of fund benefits, and the extent to which the eligible applicant will agree to commit to creating or retaining such jobs as a condition for receiving an award of fund benefits. Whether the eligible applicant is at risk of closing or curtailing facilities or operations in St. Lawrence County and other parts of the state, relocating facilities or operations out of St. Lawrence County and other parts of the state, or losing a significant number of jobs in St. Lawrence County and other parts of the state in the absence of an award of fund benefits. The significance of the eligible project that would receive an award of fund benefits to the economy of the area in which such eligible project is located, and for new, expanded, and or rehabilitated facilities, the extent to which the eligible applicant will commit to implement or otherwise make tangible investments in energy efficiency measures as a condition to receiving an award of fund benefits. Additionally, the board is authorized to consider the extent to which an award of fund benefits is consistent with the strategies and priorities of the North Country Regional Economic Development Council, which covers the region in which an eligible project may be proposed. Such strategies and priorities include the following: support growth of advanced manufacturing by building upon existing manufacturing and energy industries, leverage the North Country Gateway to Canada, the nation's largest trading partner, attract and nurture entrepreneurs through innovation to increase the rate of small business startups and expansions, invest in the region's agricultural assets, and lastly, grow the regional tourism industry. The board will render a decision on each application submitted. The board's decision will be reflected in written findings and conclusions. Only applications for which the board has made a recommendation favoring a fund benefit award will be advanced to the Nnyppab Board of Trustees for further action. The Nnyppab Board of Trustees has discretion to adopt the allocation board's recommendation or award fund benefits in a different amount or on different terms and conditions than those included in the board's recommendation. Fund benefit contracts will also contain terms and conditions that are required by Nnyppab. The board will inform each applicant of any formal decision the board makes on any application. That is my overview.
Thank you, Keith.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any questions for Keith? Do we have Vincent back yet?
Vincent, do you have you back?
I don't believe quite yet.
I hear you.
I think we hear you. So far,
Well,
I
you're
hear
good.
you. Let's give it a whirl.
Okay, well, it works here. Well, thank you, Gil, for your introductory remarks.
Did we lose him again?
We lost him.
The folks here who have
So close. Sorry, Vince, I think we've lost you again.
Yeah.
Why don't we
Keep
keep
moving.
moving down?
Keep moving.
Vincent's next item is the definition of a retail business. It's provided as Exhibit B in our packet. I'll just read it. In accordance with Economic Development Law, Section 197A6, the board defines retail business to mean a business that is primarily used in making retail sales of goods or services to customers who personally visit such facilities to obtain goods or services. So that one I can handle. The next one on our list is the application of fund benefits and preliminary project information worksheet. This is Trish Wilson. It's Exhibits C and D in our packets. Trish, you want to take over?
Absolutely. Thank you, Patrick. Applications for fund benefits under the Northern New York Power Proceeds Allocation Act must be made pursuant to a form of application that has been approved by the Northern New York Power Proceeds Allocation Board. The application, as you have it as Exhibit C, is a comprehensive document that's intended to solicit detailed information about the applicant, the proposed project, alignment of a project with North Country Regional Economic Development Council strategies and priorities, alignment with statutory criteria, support available for the project, and the funding track under which the applicant is proceeding. Funding tracks are general funding categories created based on statutory criteria and North Country Regional Economic Development Council strategies and priorities to simplify the application process. The use of the funding tracks allows applicants to furnish information in response to specific questions tied to a category of funding, rather than information that may not be relevant to the type of project proposed. In summary, the funding tracks include the following. As Keith mentioned, business investment, which includes expenditures that facilitate an employer's ability to create new jobs or retain jobs that are otherwise in jeopardy in New York State. Applicants under this track will be required to commit to the number of jobs created or retained by the proposed project and the related average salaries. Innovation and entrepreneur development covers projects that bring new technologies and/or products to the marketplace, increase startups in strategic industries, and facilitate the commercialization of products that can lead to job growth in the region. Training and workforce development allows for training and related programs that will provide the skills necessary to meet industry needs. Projects should provide programming focused on underemployed and underrepresented populations in the region. Tourism and marketing projects capitalize on the region's natural assets to increase tourist traffic and revenues and the amount of time each tourist spends in the region, and raises the profile of the region as a national and international destination. The agricultural investment track focuses on augmenting the region's agricultural profile through projects that will enhance local access to markets, generate new agricultural products, improve productivity, create regional marketing strategies, establish connections between research and farming, create careers in agriculture, and increase the value of the regional brand. The other eligible projects track allows us to include eligible projects that do not fit within one of the other. Examples include energy-related projects, programs and services, and research and development projects. The application provides an explanation for each of these funding tracks and instructions on which sections must be completed relevant to the applicant's project. The board or its designee reserves the right to request additional information, and if it is determined that the proposed project is more appropriately considered under a different funding track, to reassign the application. Applicants will be required to commit to specific capital investments for proposed projects. Job creation and retention are key indicators of economic activity. However, the allocation board recognizes that certain investments may increase productivity and revitalize areas without immediately impacting permanent employment. While job creation and retention may not be a significant factor for funding tracks other than business investment, demonstration of economic development benefits to the region, including the creation of jobs, will generally be considered favorably when assessing applications under all funding tracks. Although awards are offered prior to project commencement as an inducement to undertake an eligible project, generally the fund benefits will be dispersed in arrears as reimbursement for expenses undertaken by an awardee. Fund benefits can be used for a relatively broad range of hard costs and soft costs. The amount of an award will depend on project-specific circumstances. Generally, an award of fund benefits will seek to target approximately 20% of a project's total cost. Project costs incurred prior to an award of fund benefits may be included in project budgets submitted for consideration, but fund benefits may not be used to pay for them. Exhibit D provides you also with a copy of the preliminary project information worksheet. Based on early experience with the Western New York Power Proceeds Act, staff has incorporated a pre-application preliminary project information worksheet to assist in the administration of the program. In most cases, potential applicants are required to fill a project worksheet out before a formal application. The purpose is to allow potential applicants to provide a limited amount of information about a potential project to enable staff to identify potential problems, eligibility, for example, and make recommendations on how the applicant should approach the formal application process, such as choosing the most appropriate funding track for their project. No decisions are made by staff or the board on the basis of the project worksheet. The process has worked well in the Western New York program and has saved applicant and staff resources. And I know that was a lot of words, but that covers it.
Okay, and
How is
I should point out.
our transmission from Albany now? Better?
Yes.
Sounds good right now.
If we could pause for a moment.
Ye-
Gil, you want to say?
Yeah, if Mr. Chairman, if I could just, this is Gil Quinones. I have just like to add to what Trish mentioned. I also would like to commend publicly the local government task force who had supported an idea to reallocate or repurpose the discount program, electric utility bill discount program, that will be working in parallel with this funding that you will be administering. And both, the way I view it is that it will support, Trish mentioned a lot of very specific things, but really, in the end, both of these funding streams and other funding streams from the state through the regional economic development councils will point towards supporting the St. Lawrence Economic Development Plan that, Mr. Chairman, you're leading, and I know you either have submitted already or are submitting to your county legislature. If we keep that in mind and we keep that as our focus, I'm very, very excited with the possibilities in the North Country with this two funding streams and the other resources, low-cost power, and again, other help from the Regional Economic Development Council led by our Governor Cuomo.
Thank you, Gil.
Thank you. Vincent, can you hear us? Can we hear you?
I can hear you. How is my transmission? Any better?
It's perfect right now. Let me just point out that attached to the presentations that the various staff people are giving are resolutions that we're going to vote on at the end that adopt these different programs, the bylaws, the guidelines. So there will be a step where we actually adopt this at the end. So I'll turn it back to you, Vincent, with that.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Bill.
Well, good afternoon. The act is pretty straightforward. At the centerpiece of the statute is the creation of a fund, what we sort of call in abbreviated fashion the Power Proceeds Fund, which is comprised of fund benefits, and that is generated from Nnyppab's sale of hydropower made available to the town of Messina under a contract, and Nnyppab sells into the energy market whatever power has not been allocated, and then deposits the proceeds into the Northern New York Proceeds Fund that the statute authorizes Nnyppab to create. Nnyppab makes those deposits at least quarterly. In addition to that, the Act essentially assigns two sets of responsibilities, one to the board, the allocation board, and the other to the Nnyppab trustees. The Nnyppab trustees are charged with grant making, and I'll get to that in a little bit more detail in a minute. But the allocation board really is, its main function is on the front end of the program. It essentially administers the application process and makes certain determinations and recommendations with respect to the program. With respect to determinations, it's the board's responsibility to make determinations as to eligibility, both the eligibility of the applicant and the eligibility of the projects that are proposed for funding. And in a nutshell, the program is available to private businesses, including not-for-profit organizations. The program at this point is not available to government entities. And on the project side of eligibility, essentially what the program contemplates is that projects that have as their centerpiece some type of economic development activity will be eligible for funding, with the exception of one general category, and that is retail-type businesses. And as we've heard already, at some point in the meeting, we will ask the board to adopt a definition of retail business. It's one that Nnyppab has used in other programs, and it's the one that the Western New York Power Proceeds Board has adopted for the Western New York program, and it served us well. So we're recommending that definition to the board today. In addition to eligibility, the real meat and potatoes of the board's responsibilities are analyzing applications based largely on the analyses and information and recommendations made by Nnyppab staff, which is authorized to provide staff services to the board, and to recommend to the Nnyppab trustees those applications that the board feels should receive an award of fund benefits and the amount of an award. Those recommendations, if it's a positive recommendation, are forwarded to the Nnyppab trustees for its consideration, which considers the board's recommendation and the statutory criteria in deciding whether to issue an award. Those applications for which the board does not make a recommendation for fund benefits end there. In other words, the application process terminates at that point and does not go on to the Nnyppab Board of Trustees for further action. That's a general outline of the respective responsibilities of the two boards that are involved with administering the program. In addition to that, there'll be a few items before the board for board action today. For example, as suggested, we're going to ask the board to adopt a formal form of application. We're going to ask the board to adopt a definition of retail business that will control for purposes of the program, and as will be explained by some other staff members in attendance today, we'll ask the board to take action on a few other matters that are essential for the board's functioning. Any questions? Okay, very good. Just so you know, as I indicated before, the Nnyppab staff is authorized by statute to provide staff services to the board, and the board members should feel that the Nnyppab Law Department, which provides legal services to the board, is at its disposal, and you should feel free to reach out whenever you have a question, not only about how all this new stuff is going to work, but as we go forward and with respect to applications and other business of the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We covered the definition of the retail business, so I think we'll move on to the bylaws. Karen DeLintz, Vice President and Corporate Secretary of Nnyppab, do you want to walk us through this item, please?
Yes, good afternoon, Chairman Kelly and members of the board. Bylaws generally include basic principles for the operation and management of a board and are a useful governance tool to ensure stability, continuity, and structure. The proposed bylaws, which are found in Exhibit E, provide the following information: the location of the principal office, which is the St. Lawrence Power Project, where all books and records will be kept, Nnyppab's White Plains office, membership information such as terms, which is 5 years, total number of members, 5, the appointment process, the appointments by the governor, residency requirement, members must reside in the St. Lawrence County, designation of chair by the governor, powers and duties as Vince outlined, and the number of meetings. According to the law, you're required to meet at least twice a year, but the schedule of meetings that you will be adopting on Exhibit H calls for 5 meetings a year. It also provides for the location of meeting, which is either at the principal office or where you might designate, or by video. And it requires an adoption of an annual meeting schedule. It limits who may call for special meetings to either the chair or 2 members of the board. And it requires notice be given by the secretary. It defines quorum as 3 members of the board, and that's to hold the meeting and to transact business. It sets the duties of the chair and the secretary. It provides for execution of documents and defense of indemnification. And it also gives you flexibility with respect to amending the bylaws. You simply need a majority to amend the bylaws. So these bylaws are similar to those adopted by the Western New York Power Proceeds Board and are before you for adoption today.
Anybody have any questions on the bylaws? All right, the next item is Standards of Conduct and Conflicts Policy. Joseph Grislow, Vice President and Chief Ethics and Compliance Officer from the Power Authority.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, all board members and those in attendance. This document, these procedures are designed to assist you in the efficient conduct of your public duties and to insulate you from potential violations of the Public Officers Law. The activities of the Proceeds Board and its members are governed by Section 74 of the Public Officers Law, which is the state code of ethics. Our procedures that we've developed for you contain three primary components. The first are the standards of conduct with which you must comply. The second are guidelines regarding lobbying contacts. And the third are conflicts of interest procedures themselves. There is also an attachment, a certification document, which I will speak to momentarily. The standards themselves contain the key provisions of the state code of ethics and are designed primarily for you to avoid conflicts of interest in the carrying out of your public duties. You are required to the greatest extent possible to separate your personal and professional lives from your public duties, and these guidelines will assist you in doing that. The lobbying contacts component contemplates the fact that you may receive communications from various organizations seeking fund benefits or representatives on behalf of those organizations. And the requirement is for you to direct those communications to a designated point of contact, in this case, Karen DeLintz, the Power Authority's corporate secretary, so as to further insulate you from having any influence in a prospective evaluation or award of a fund benefit. And lastly, the conflicts of interest procedures themselves will require and enable you to disclose any substantial interest that you may have with applying organizations, being they not-for-profit or for-profit, and enable staff to assist you in insulating you from any apparent or actual conflicts that may present a problem with an application, evaluation, or recommendation for an award. The certification document is simply an acknowledgement on your part, and we're asking all board members to execute this certification, an acknowledgement that you have read these combined standards and conflicts procedures, that you will follow them going forward, and disclose any apparent or actual conflicts of interest that may arise during the course of your public duties. Are there any questions?
No.
An extra copy of that certification is in the inside front pocket of your binders that you can execute before you leave and provide.
Okay.
Thank you.
That cover that? You good? Okay. The next item I would point out is designation of Nnyppab Economic Development Manager, North Country, to act on the Northern New York Power Proceeds Authority Board on behalf of administrative matters. This is a resolution we're going to entertain. I'm just going to read it. Bear with me. The Northern New York Power Proceeds Allocation Board acknowledges that the Act authorizes the New York Power Authority to provide information and assistance to the Board, including staff services, and designates the New York Power Authority Economic Development Program Manager, North Country, to act on the Board's behalf for administrative matters, including establishing and managing a pre-application process to assist potential applicants for fund benefits and support the formal application process, managing the application process, including intake, processing, analysis, and tracking of applications for benefits, managing communications with applicants and from staff relating to applications and other pertinent program matters, processing board decision of application and any and all things, and take any and all actions to effectuate the board's decision. So we will be acting on that later, and I would just point out that for us, one of the really impressive things the Power Authority has done has been to establish an economic development position here in the North Country. I mean, that's something for the complexity of the programs. I think for applicants to be able to come here or to deal with somebody in Messina as opposed to some other agency or somewhere else in the state there's a real benefit to that. And we've seen it with the other programs that the Power Authority administers, and I think it's going to be a real credit for this program as well. So that's my chairman's editorializing on that one. At this point, I think we've covered all of the resolutions that are in your packet. They've been discussed. Haven't had many questions as they've come up. If there's not questions now, I would ask for a motion to adopt the set of recommended resolutions that have been provided to us.
In their entirety?
In their entirety.
Okay.
Efficiency is the name of the game.
So moved.
Mr. Charlo makes that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Ms. Phelan makes the second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. At this point, we're talking about allocating money from the fund that's been set up, and I think there's probably questions and uncertainty about what that fund is worth and how much money is in it and how the fund works. So Richard Smith, Business and Project Development Director, would you please give us a fund update?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with the Northern New York Power Proceeds Allocation Act, the New York Power Authority has created the Northern New York Economic Development Fund. The fund consists of aggregate excess revenues, also known as net earnings, received by Nnyppab from the sale of St. Lawrence County Economic Development Power, produced at Nnyppab's St. Lawrence FDR Power Project, that is sold into the wholesale energy market over what revenues would have been received had such power been sold on a firm basis to the Town of Messina Electric Department to support economic development under a contract between Nnyppab and the town. The Act requires deposits of net earnings into the fund no less than quarterly. The Act provides that a minimum of 15% of fund benefits must be dedicated to energy-related projects, programs, and services. Energy-related projects, programs, and services means 1, energy efficiency projects and services, 2, clean energy technology projects and services, 3, high performance and sustainable building programs and services, and 4, the construction, installation, and/or operation of facilities or equipment in connection with any such projects, programs, or services. I would now like to provide you with a review of the fund activity report that you'll find in the back of your packets. So this fund update report is as of December of 2016.
And it's in the second tab from the very back.
I think you all have it. Oh, sorry. Just in the back. You can read off mine if you want.
End of Exhibit 8.
Okay. Total deposits to the fund to date, $2,103,000. Total interest earned on deposits to date, $4,283. For total funds deposited of $2,107,283. That's also the total fund benefits available to be awarded by the Northern New York Power Proceeds Allocation Board. As I suggested, 15% of the fund by statute must go to energy-related projects. That amount stands at $315,450. And then lastly, the total estimated St. Lawrence County economic development power available to generate net earnings is 20 megawatts. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those now.
Footnote number 5 explains how this fund is generated. I don't quite understand that. Could you explain that to me? It's on 20 megs for 5 years,
Right.
And then 10 megs thereafter?
Right. First 5 years, 20 megawatts. After the first 5 years, the amount that is used to generate the net earnings would drop to 10 megawatts of power.
What's the effective date? We
That's a
don't
good
know it.
question.
Can somebody get that to us?
Yeah, Vince, would that be the date of 2014 for effective date?
Correct. It was almost New Year's Eve, I think, 2014.
So we're a year plus into it. Well, 2 years, actually more.
New Year's, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're 2+ years into it.
so the 2 million represents activity from 14, 15, and 16?
Yes.
So it's,
Yes, it's been accumulating since 2014.
okay.
Right.
Even though the board was not constituted immediately upon enactment of the legislation, Nnyppab has been making deposits ever since the effective date of the statute.
That's right. Other questions? Larry? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. All right. With that, our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 12th. I think the important thing, the takeaway I would have if I were in the audience would be that there are applications available now. There is a process now. We are underway. For somebody seeking an application, they should talk with Trish. You're the Economic Development Program Manager for the North Country, so
I'm the first point of contact for a project that would come before this board. So,
okay.
And also the website is live now. It will, as a result of this meeting and the approval by the board of the pre-application, the documents that you approved, the schedule and all that, those will now be updated on that website. It's NNY.gov/NNYPPAV, Northern New York Power Proceeds Allocation Board.
Rolls off the tongue.
Memorable.
Okay.
I remembered it. You see me stumble in the middle.
Today was organizational. Today was procedural. At the end of the day, though, we're ready to start taking applications. There's a place people can go. There's a person people can talk to, so we can get moving.
That's correct.
All righty. We would like to have applications for great projects to bring before this board in April.
Excellent. Okay. Does anybody have any other matters they'd like to discuss? Can I get a motion to adjourn then?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Motion by Terry Phelan, seconded by Robert McNeil. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.